3-time PBA champion and World Masters champion Chris Barnes. Let's meet our coaches for the Increase Your Average DVD collection.
Beautiful shot. And she gets it.
Hi, I'm Carolyn Doran-Ballard, USBC Director of Coaching.
She wanted it.
Hi, I'm Kim Turrell-Kearney, Assistant Coach for Team USA.
Hi, I'm Rod Ross. I'm Head Coach of Team USA.
Yes! Yes!
Watch his approach. It is surreal.
Even at the highest level of the sport, bowlers have all sorts of different ways to get to the foul line. Whether you're male or female, big or small, left or right-handed. But at the point of release, you'll find that the best of the best look very much the same.
Lefty, righty.
Balance and focus at the finish position can make just about any approach the right one.
Anytime someone talks about improving their game, the physical game is at the top of the list. What sets most pros apart is their ability to repeat consistently time after time. Our Team USA coaches are going to put together a program from start to finish that will help improve your foundation and make you more consistent every shot of every day. Well, over time, we've seen many different ways and many different styles of stance or the setup. One thing you'll notice a lot on the tour is most of them look pretty close to the same, but there are some pretty individual characteristics. Ultimately, you just want it to be comfortable. Coach Ross, though, will show us a few different ways to get your stance and setup as comfortable as possible and as consistent as possible to help you throw your best shots.
A lot of the inconsistencies that we see here at the ITRC with bowlers relates right back to the stance. We want to try to have balance at the finish, but if you don't start in a balanced position in the stance, it's hard to create balance at the finish. With some small adjustments, we can give Terry a better starting position. So we want you to start in a balanced position as opposed to unbalanced position in the stance. As you can see, I can push you very easily and push you back. The issue that we have with there is all your energy and all your weights go on reverse instead of forward up the lane towards where the pin. So what we want you to do is get into your stance, flex your knees and get the weight onto the balls of your feet forward. So now you're in a very stable position. Now it's going to be able to enable you to have more balance at the finish position because all our balance energy is going up the lane instead of the other direction. Now that we got your balance better established on the balls of your feet, we want to look at your alignment going up to the lane. What you have is very square. You're square of your shoulders, your hips, and your feet. So what I want you to do is I want to take your bowling side, which is for you is your right side, and take your right foot slightly back, take your right hip slightly back, and your right shoulder slightly back. Now we want to keep the ball in the same position. We want to keep the ball between your shins and shoulder, still going up the lane. This is going to give you more of a better athletic position to release the ball and keep it on line going down the lane. Now we got your weight on the balls of your feet in a more balanced position and we got you open the stance, we want to take care of this ball placement. We talked about we want it between your chin and shoulder, not outside the shoulder, not aligned shoulder, between your chin and shoulder, but we want to get in a little balanced position so you can relax your hand more. As you can see, I can push and try to resist, and it's very hard to resist. What we would like you to do is pull your elbow slightly back, pull the ball a little bit closer to you, keeping it in the same position between your chin and shoulder. Now I can push quite hard and you're in a better balanced position. Your hand's going to be more relaxed in the ball, stronger release at the finish position, and you're in a better balance. Okay, the next thing we want to address, Terry, is that now that you got a very good stance, we want to get into a very good start, initiating the whole approach. So what we want to do is now that you got the ball in closer to a better balance position, we want to keep the weight of the ball on the center of your hand here. We don't want to let that ball get in front of your hand. We don't want it coming back. We want it nice and centered here. Next thing we want to do is as we start to initiate the swing, we want to have a nice rounded shape to this push weight. We want it rounded. We don't want to have sharp edges. Swing doesn't have sharp edges. You want to have a nice rounded swing. So we're going to keep the shoulder back as the ball goes forward, and it's going to have a nice rounded swing. We're going to synchronize this with the very first step of your ball side foot. So if you're a 5-stepper, you'll take a step, and then the right side or the ball side foot and the ball will go forward at the same time. If you're a 4-step, we initiate just with the right side. The right step and the right-handed on the ball will go forward and synchronize at the same time. So that weight will hit your hand the same time that ball side foot hits the floor. Now that we got a good stance in the weight of the ball, you want to make sure that when you go out here forward, when we start this push weight, that you keep your hand underneath the ball at the start. That keeps your hand nice and relaxed. If you get out here and you let the ball get in front of your hand, now you're going to have to grab that ball and have to grip it and then pull it back. It's going to cause you an inconsistent swing and grip pressure throughout the release. So we want to keep it nice and balanced and rounded right here with your hand underneath the ball.
When talking about the approach, there's many things that go into it. Stance, push away, timing, body position, finish position. In this segment, Rod and Kim are going to go through and tell you a few things to look for and some tips on how to make your best approach.
Okay, now we're going to take a look at the arm swing. There's a very important part of a consistent delivery and accuracy going down the lane. We want to start with the ball between your chin and the shoulder here in the stance. But you have two options. You can take the ball around your body during the approach or take your body around the ball. We want you to take your body around the ball in the stance. So if I take the ball here in front and just push forward up the lane, go ahead if you wish to, you notice it's going to run into his leg. So what we want to do with this ball side foot, the very first step of the ball side foot is step in front of the slide foot to create a path for this ball to drop in nice tight to our body. If we don't do that, the ball has to come around the body. So if it comes around the body, when it comes back down, the swing is going to have to come around the body again. This is going to create inconsistency of our launch angles going down the lane. If you let go of the ball early, it's going to miss to the outside. If you let go of it late, it's going to miss on the inside. The advantage of stepping in front of your slide foot right here at the start and let the ball drop into the slot, it's going to keep it straight back, straight forward. If you let go of it early or if you let go of it late, it's still going to be on line. Okay, the keys for a good arm swing is keeping consistency and the angles all straight as we take the ball back and forward towards our target. So as we initiate that start and that push, we want to have that crossover step so we can keep the swing tight to our body. As the swing goes back, we want to keep it in line to our body to the top of the backswing. At the very top, you'll notice that the swing, the bowling ball, and the head are all in line to his target. This enables him that at this point you can just let the ball drop, not change direction, and it will go to the target line. This enables a bowler to have a nice free swing, consistency at the release, and control his launch angles. So the key here is at the top of the backswing, we just let it rest, and it's just like it's coming down a ramp. You just let the ball drop straight down underneath the head to the release position.
Now we're going to take a look at the finish position. It's a key component in making a great shot. Very often we find players that fall off this way and that, and it's frustrating to them. But if we trace it back to the beginning, we find that it's typically happening there, that they're not getting a consistent start. Consistent start will dictate a good finish. There's lots of different ways to get to the line, but if we look at some of our great players, our elite players on Team USA, you'll see that they may get there in a lot of different ways, but at the end, everybody's in the same balanced, committed, finished position. If we look at all of our elite players, one of the few common things that we see is that they have great use of their balance arm and their trail leg. We want to counterbalance all of the weight that's swinging alongside them. That's what helps them stay upright and in a great line towards their target line that they're trying to complete. Having a great posture is what allows you to have good leverage at the line. Oftentimes we'll see players get a little bit too compressed with their waist, and they're giving away that good posture and good leverage that gives them good ball roll down the lane. A good way to correct that would be to make sure that your shoulders stay in line with your hips. Don't let your head get out in front of you when you deliver the ball. Okay, we have Steven here in a great finish position. If we start up top, we can see that his balance arm is in a nice relaxed position alongside his body. He has his core facing his desired ball path. He has great knee bend. His trail leg with his toe rolled is facing the side wall. Oftentimes we'll see players with their arm too high, and that gets them to sometimes deliver the ball a little bit too soon into the lane and get a little bit too compressed. But he's definitely in a position that we really want to see to throw a great shot. Oftentimes players get a little bit too compressed at the waist. This sometimes will relate in a short-armed follow-through. But Steven here is going to get in so that he has a straight line from his head to his knee to his foot to give him great leverage to deliver the ball properly down the lane. So for great leverage, you want to make sure that you have a stacked position from your head to your knee to your foot. That's going to give you the best ball roll and the best follow through down the lane.
Now let's talk about the release. How you put your hand in the ball dictates how you're going to release the ball. It brings it all the way back to the start. A lot of bowlers will just grab the ball off the ball rack, put their hand in the ball and go without paying any attention to how they put their hand in the ball. We recommend that you kind of get used to putting your hand in the ball in a consistent, relaxed state. Pick up the ball with both hands and put your fingers in underhand and roll the ball onto your thumb. Don't take your thumb to the ball. If you take your thumb to the ball, you're going to have to grab or grip that ball. Take that ball onto your thumb. It rolls it on, keeps your thumb nice and relaxed, the hand relaxed. It's going to facilitate you to have a nice, clean release. On the release, once our hand's in that ball at that release position, we want that ball rolling off the front of our hand. You want to take your hand through the ball, not around the ball. A lot of mistakes we see a lot of amateurs make is they want to come around the ball, trying to give that ball spin or side turn, trying to make that ball hook. You create hook by the ball rolling off the front of your hand. It will turn your hand. Let the ball turn your hand and release. Don't have your hand turn the ball.
Welcome you inside Cowboy Stadium, a venue that bowling has never seen before.
Learning how to read the lanes can help the average bowler learn to zero in on the pocket like the pros, whether you're bowling in the largest stadium in the country or in your own hometown center.
He just needs one more strike.
Top players know how to use oil patterns to their advantage, so the strikes keep coming.
Is it his? Yes!
Whether I'm bowling on the Pro Tour, Team USA, or in my local league, lane play is often the key to success for me. While I'd like to throw my best shot every time, the reality is, it just doesn't happen. But by using lane play and making the right adjustments, I make those mistakes turn into strikes there as well. We've all seen the person that just can't miss. By learning how to find your break point, making your adjustments, when, how, and where to do them, you too can be that person that everyone in your league says, wow, just can't miss. Most bowlers know about the arrows, but knowing how to determine your break point and how to adjust that break point is the key to creating more room on the lane. In this section, we're going to discuss how to do these things so that you too can create your most possible miss room.
As Team USA coaches, we get asked quite often, how do we help get our players lined up? We travel to all over the world. We have different types of patterns that they're always competing on, and you don't get a lot of practice time. So are there any secrets that we can share?
Well, we commonly use this rule of 31. It helps us decide where we want to play on the lane. So we subtract the pattern distance, 31 from that distance, and that gives us our desired break point.
So that's the distance down the lane that where we want the ball towards the end of the pattern, and we just got to figure the attack angle we want to get to that point.
Right, and that angle is going to be dependent on how you throw the ball. It's a personal number. If you're a high rev rated player, then your feet are going to be further left and you're going to hook to that spot. If you're high ball speed and a little bit straighter, then you're going to get a little direct line to to the pocket.
So even to the lane surface, whether it's in synthetic or wood, it's going to make us play a little different too, right?
Right. Wood lanes are going to hook much, much more. Certain synthetics are going to play a little bit longer, so they'll seem a little oilier than the pattern is probably designed to play. So you really want to know your playing field.
So that rule of 31, if we're like a house pattern is 40 feet long. So you subtract 31, what do we end up getting?
We end up right around that second arrow. A little bit, could be one board this way, one board that way.
Depending if it's wood or synthetic, and there's different brands of synthetic too, it's going to be plus or minus. Well, that gives us a very good starting point, so we can have very good practice sessions. We're not kind of guessing where we're looking. This is where we want to be looking at.
Right. We don't have very long, so you want to make sure that you practice wisely. Make sure that you're not you don't need to explore the entire lane when we know that information up front.
And that's how it starts, but the lane's going to change as we start bowling. Isn't that correct? We got to be ahead of the moves, really.
Right, and that's what the better players do. They stay in front of the moves, and they're watching their ball transition down the lane. They start to recognize when it picks up a little bit too soon, starts to hook too early. They start heading a little further left if they're a right-handed player where there's a higher volume of oil, going to give them a little bit more hold, sort of push through the front, won't read quite as quickly.
So yeah, think of it as just like downhill snow skiers, and they're going down a solemn course, and you have all this nice fresh powder, and the first skier goes down, and they start cutting a path. Eventually, as they start having more racers go down, you have a predefined path. Pretty soon you got to get out of that path.
Right, the friction, all the balls going down the lane, those new balls, they're so aggressive, they start to pick up some of that oil, and so it starts to dissipate. Get more and more burn. You want to make sure you get out of that area so you get a smoother surface to play on.
Okay, so the keys here, we want to subtract 31 from the oil pattern, kind of pay attention to the lane surface that you're bowling on, whether it's a high friction or a low friction, and be aware of those changes, watching your ball motion front to back.
So the break point is the first thing that you want to determine when you're attacking a pattern, whether a house pattern or a tournament pattern. The way we describe break point is when the ball, for a right-hander, has reached its furthest point right on the lane and then makes its turn back towards the pocket.
So it's a distance that is the farthest away or closest to the channel on your side of the bowling. So as you can see on these two charts here, our break point is going to be right here on the bowlers on the top part, and our break point is going to be right here for our bowlers down in the bottom part of the screen. Is the point is the farthest away from the pocket when it's going to be turning and going back to the pocket.
Now we have shot tracking. This is two different players playing the same break point. You can see up here we have Ametria. She's going a little bit more direct through the front part of the lane, so her launch angle is a little bit straighter. And then down here we have Jean-Marc, who has opened up the lane. He's got a higher rev rate, so his feet are further left, and he's circling to the exact same break point.
So we were talking about the rule of 31 down here. So we had a 40-foot pattern. So as you can see down here in Jean-Marc, he's about 9 board down here, about 39, 40 feet. Ametria down here, she's about 8 board in the same type of area. It's where the ball's starting to come back to the pocket, but they completely different through the front part of the lane. You have one of them playing 12 at the arrows, the other one was playing 9 at the arrows. So they're playing the lane similar, but depending on their style of play, they're playing down here the break point is the same, but they'll play the front part different because of their speed, their RPM, their rev rate, and the type of ball they're using.
So now you've thrown a few shots, you've determined where the hook is on the lane and your break point, but where do you start? Now, when I'm talking about where you start, I'm talking about with your feet. If you're a straighter player, you're probably going to be closer to the gutter and playing a little bit straighter. And as you have more revolutions or slower ball speed, you may move in a little bit and move your break point and your starting position a little further away from the gutter. Here we'll see some examples of some different types of players, and you can see which players you match up best with.
Here we have Jean-Marc. He's like a lot of bowlers that you'll see in Lake. He's high speed, higher on the rev rate and everything. But he's kind of playing lanes too direct through the front, and he's having a hard time getting into the right side of the head pin. How can he apply that break point rule of 31?
Well, we have a 40-foot pattern, so we want our break point to be right around 9 or 10. And with Jean-Marc's rev rate and speed, his launch angle is, like you said, far too direct. So we would get his feet a little bit further left, maybe move his eyes, maybe a 2 and 1 left, 2 with your feet, 1 with your eyes. That'll get you a steeper angle through the front, but get you to the same break point down lane.
So, it looked like you were trying to play like second arrow through the front part lane. We really want to, if you want to think of second arrow down the lane. So we probably need you to move quite a bit left, like I'm saying, get it out to that point so we can get the ball to come back to the button. Let's go ahead and give that a try.
Okay.
Okay, and again, now just eyes, your feet look like they're in a good spot. Just don't have our eyes far enough right.
Okay.
You're not getting it out to that spot that we're looking down the lane. So just kind of keep your feet in the same place. Just move our eyes a little bit right. We'll try one more shot.
Okay.
So now we can see in John Mark in 3 shots, you got warmed up. Now we got a good attack angle to the pocket. You've got a good place to start. You have a good break point down the lane, and you're nice and flush. Now remember, the lanes are going to change, but you still want to kind of keep that same point down the lane, and you're just going to be moving your angles through the front as the lanes transition.
Okay.
Okay, now we have Steven, and Steven is a player that's kind of a medium to a firmer speed. Still has that good hand RPMs, but a little more side rotation. It's going to have a little bit more hook on the ball. But again, he's playing way outside.
Right, and again, with the distance that we have of the pattern, we want it, I think with your speed and your rotation, you're going to want to have much more angle again through the front, get to that same break point. I think that'll help you get a little bit lined up a little bit sooner.
It's, I mean, players will see this quite often. They like to see that ball hook. But your room for error is not going to be there. You're going to have splits, you're going to have washout stuff, because you're going to have to be so precise of where you're playing. Making the simple move of coming into that break point where we're looking down the lane 9 board and stuff, changing our angles through the front a little bit, you're going to have more room for error, your scores are going to increase. Let's go ahead and give it a try. Now on that one there, it looked like the angle just got a little too far out again trying to hit. So probably just pull our eyes in just a little bit more, because it looked like, how far did it look like you got out to?
It was easily out around the first arrow, too far with my angle.
Too far. So yeah, so your feet look pretty good. Let's just pull your eyes in about 2 or 3 boards and let's give that a shot.
Okay.
Excellent. In 3 shots?
Yeah, I think possibly, and I'll ask you, Stephen, on the shot before, did you move your feet only?
Yeah, just my feet, yeah.
Your feet only, and oftentimes we see that with league bowlers as they move their feet only, which is a really aggressive move, and it moves their break point an equal amount.